14th, 2019. You are not satisfied with the decision made by the Traffic and Parking Commission, you may appeal the decision by filing for a writ of certiorari with the Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of the entry of the Commission's decisions. We advise that you seek your own independent legal advice to ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been met. I move for an approval of today's agenda.
So moved.
We have a first
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Move for approval of the minutes of the September 9th meeting.
So moved.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Approval of the consent agenda. Please note that items on the consent agenda will be voted on at a single time. No individual public hearing will be held, nor will the commission debate these items unless a member of the audience or the commission requests that the item be removed from the consent agenda. Is there any request to remove items from the consent agenda? Okay. All right, we'll read the consent agenda and move for approval. Mandatory referral 2019M023AB001, a request for the abandonment of right-of-way along Alley 1854 from Grandview Avenue to Landers Avenue, easement rights to be retained, requested by Furniture Warehouse and Showrooms, Inc. applicant. Item B, authorize residential permit parking on the north side of Archer Street from 12th Avenue South to South Side, requested by Councilmember Sledge. Item C, authorize removal of 5 parking meters on the west side of Rosa L. Parks Boulevard from Broadway to Commerce Street, requested by Metro Public Works. Item D, modify the speed limit from 30 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour on Stammer Place from Hobbs Road to Castleman, requested by Councilmember Henderson. Item E, modify the speed limit from 30 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour on Castleman Drive from Hillsborough Road to Linderwood Drive, requested by Councilmember Henderson. And item F, authorize traffic signal on Burkett Road at Westcott Road, requested by Anderson, Delk, Epps, and Associates. Quick question, Mr. Knopf. Does that mean they're paying for it?
Yes, sir, it does.
Okay. Thank you. All right. The consent agenda has been read. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
The consent agenda has been approved. We have a deferred business item number 1, authorize no trucks over 8 tons on Ashwood Avenue from 12th Avenue South to Belmont Boulevard, requested by a resident.
Is that Councilman Tom Cash's district?
Yes, sir, it
Has
is.
anybody heard from him yet?
I have not. Have you heard from him, Mr.
No,
Knopf?
sir. No, sir. And you know, with the elections and all, we're just getting on our feet with all the council people, but we're still looking at some data from the surrounding roadways. I think a couple of us talked about this item. If you remove the trucks here, they're just going to go somewhere else. The same thing, you know, you think about stop signs. So I'm going to request an indefinite deferral on this one till we can talk to the council member, maybe the residents themselves, and regroup with an overall picture.
Move to defer.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Item's been deferred indefinitely. All right. The last item is an overview of the residential permit parking process. Ms. Marshall.
Okay, the residential parking permit program is included in Chapter 12.42 in our codes. There are 5 requirements in order for a zone to be classified as residential permit parking. Those things are listed on your screen. It's the availability of off-street parking, the proximity of the neighborhood to major parking attraction, the extent to which motor vehicles registered to persons residing in the residential area cannot be accommodated by the number of available off-street parking spaces, traffic, noise, and safety problems caused by vehicles cruising for parking. okay? There's a petition form that is required for a street to be considered for permit parking. The petition form needs to be signed by all the residents that will be impacted. It must be recommended by 75% of the residents in order for us to consider it.
May I ask a question at this point? So has there been a Metro code put in place that says this is the way the residential permit parking process works?
That is what she's reading from. That 1240, chapter 1242 is a chapter of the Metro Code.
Okay, thank you.
And the exact code that addresses the eligibility requirements is 12.42.030. Procedures to be used is 12.42.040. Once a petition form is signed, then it is submitted to the council member. And then the council member sends it back to us with a letter of recommendation. We go out, we do an investigation to determine if it meets the requirements for residential permit parking. If it does, then we bring it back to this commission for their approval. Once the commission approves this process, then each person that signed the petition form will be sent out an application for permit parking. The application is sent back to us at the department, and the fee for the permit is $10 annually unless you're over 65. And also, we have the option of getting a visitor's permit, which is $5.
Is that annually?
That's an annual fee. $10 for a regular permit, $5 for a visitor's permit. And this is an example of the permit that we currently use for residential permit parking. These are color-coded permits, and the color is changed annually.
And so if you have a visitor's permit and you're living in a place where you're using residential parking, you buy a permit for $5 and that lasts for a year for visitors?
The visitor's permit is $5, and it's an annual permit, and you can get up to 3 visitors permit for every regular permit that you have.
And what hours is the visitor permit for? I mean, is there a limit to hours of the day?
There is not a limit. The signs will state, when we install the signs, if the request to make it permit parking Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, then that will be the time limit when the permit, the actual permit and the visitor's permit is used.
So is it my understanding, Ms. Marshall, that we've had a lot of increase in this because of the retail, restaurants, businesses that are in neighborhoods that people need a place to park?
Currently, we have 48 different zones that are residential permit parking, and as of today, we've issued 530 permits for this year.
Is there a map showing that?
No, there is not.
Okay. And then what's the hours of enforcement for permit parking, and who does the enforcement?
The staff at Public Works has officers available Monday through Saturday. Staff works 7:30 to 4.
And I understand with the shortage, if you call a police person, that's not going to be very high up the totem pole. I mean, if they're expected to enforce anything.
Is this enforced by Metro Public Works
We
people,
have
not the
5
Metro Police? Is that
We have
correct?
5 enforcement officers at Public Works that enforces this for
Okay.
us.
They issue tickets, fines?
They issue tickets, yes.
And what's the fine for parking illegally?
The fine is a $10 fee.
Okay. Do we know who sets that fee? Is that set by Metro, or is that a state law?
That's set by Metro Council.
Okay. All right. What's the maximum fine that it could be by state law, just out of curiosity?
$50.
$50, okay.
In some of our residential permit areas, we've added tow plates to those signs, and that increases the fine to a $50 ticket.
Is there an hour of the day that you see more violations?
The area over in East Nashville, which is Russell Street, South 10th, we have a lot of violations there in the morning from 7 to 9. Some of the university areas, those are midday. So staff currently issues between 200 and 250 tickets a day. That includes these residential permit parking tickets and also other parking violations.
The folks enforcing permit parking also enforcing meter violations and other on-street valet stands, et cetera. So what's the distinction between what the police does and what your department does?
We're allowed to enforce any parking violations, which includes parking on the wrong side of the road, having expired registration on your vehicle, bike lane violations, blocking mailboxes, fire hydrants, no parking in the corner, meter time expired, overtime parking.
Yeah, we do not enforce any moving violations.
I don't think the police want to get into the business of doing permit
Nor
parking.
do we
know
want
that.
them-
No,
nor do we want moving.
want them. No, we need to have them chasing the bad folks.
So what is a bike lane violation?
Bike lane is if you park in a bike lane, there's a $50 fine for parking in a bike lane.
Don't do it.
And what if you park in a bus zone where there are bus drop-offs and pickups, they're set aside for buses? I see a lot of people parking in those.
I'm not sure what the fine is.
But
Legal may know, but
do you
I'm
all
not sure.
Is that your job? I mean, is that fall under your purview?
If it's parking regulations, then yes, we do the enforcement.
Any fire hydrants, police parking, bus parking, yeah, it's under Diane's group to enforce.
It's a big job.
All right. So streets that have permit parking beyond the hours of, because there's some we have approved that are 24-hour permit parking and et cetera, those people don't get any enforcement except between 7 and 4:30. Is that correct?
That is correct, unless a Metro police officer is in the area, and then they can assist with the enforcement.
Okay. And do we have any sense of what the cost of enforcement of permit parking is? It looks like, based on your number, 550 times 10 is $5,500 of revenue.
I do not have an
Okay.
answer. Currently, like I say, we've issued 550 permits today, $10 per permit.
Okay.
So if that's going to be increased, that fine, who does that? The council?
That would have to go through council.
Okay. And is that part of what's being considered now?
I'm not aware of any.
Yeah, there's a piece of
Legislation
legislation on the floor this evening, actually, about raising the citation amounts. I'll be honest, I don't know if it includes residential parking. I know it includes metered parking.
Right.
Yeah, I was aware that it included meter parking, but I hadn't reviewed it for the issue of permit parking either. I can,
And I'm 99% positive it'll be a mandatory referral that we'll see here. Before.
Fine.
I don't think it will be, because that authority to raise the fine amount is given to council.
Okay.
Right,
So,
but without, okay.
all right, so a question I have is for legal counsel is, in many cities, they do residential permit parking in large blocks. In this city, it's done kind of street by street based on signatures. So, is there anything in the code that would prevent the city from enacting legislation that you could declare street A, B, and C residential permit parking?
So the code basically just consists of a codified bunch of ordinances that are adopted by Metro Council.
Okay.
So the council can amend the code by ordinance at any time, including Chapter 1242.
Okay, I'm just more asking to see if there's a different approach. There's nothing by charter that would prohibit it from being a different process.
I don't think so. There is a
Okay.
charter provision that governs traffic and parking, 11901 at SEC, but I'm not thinking off the top of my head of any provisions of that would impact one way or the other the exact process here. It doesn't, the charter generally doesn't get into the weeds to that degree.
Yes, okay, just, checking. Okay. All right.
So remember a few years ago, we got kind of dinged on some residential parking in the 12th South area. And so this code she just read and what you're referring to, we follow it by the book. And now changing the code, we would change our process. But right now, that's the process we followed to a T.
Is there any data to show how successful this has been?
Not that I'm aware of, and I don't know how you would judge the success. Now, around Taco Villa Place, whatever that place is called, where we try to combine residential and commercial.
Go Mamacita?
Yeah.
And it's like a 2-hour non-permit parking zone with a residential parking after that. The enforcement is a big issue. The money we're bringing in, you're supposed to offset your cost with that amount. So
Right.
you're having to balance that. So it could probably all be looked at and reviewed. And then next month when we talk about the valet zones, that could be rolled into a review as well.
I live on a street with residential permit parking by Belmont University, and I mean, it works decently, but also we have to get the cooperation of the university to go around and put flyers on cars that have university stickers. So it's kind of, again, the case that the citizens have to do a lot of work to enforce the process to make it work. That's my observation as a user.
Even though it's not on university property.
Correct.
So back to somebody said overnight enforcement. If somebody knows about a place where there's an issue overnight, at least let us know. We'll talk to the police department and we'll get some surveillance out there, if nothing else. And last but not least, all of this stuff is online. The code is online. The application is on the Public Works website, and you can get in touch with Diane through that website for anybody wanting to hear more about it.
So it does sound to me increasing the fines might be a source of more revenue.
Well, the revenue would come in, if the fines increase, the revenue does increase. Now, where that revenue goes, where that money goes is a metro government-wide thing and not just a traffic and parking thing.
Okay.
Citation money doesn't directly go into Public Works at this time. That's what we're talking to some people about right now.
All right.
So just because that word revenue is a little bit of a buzzword, like Chip was saying a little bit earlier, the amount that's set can only be a recovery of the costs that we expend on enforcement. You can't actually generate like revenue above your costs by increasing the amount that you're charging for a fee. But you can like look at your costs, and if it's not capturing all of the costs that you're incurring, you can increase it to recover all of your costs.
You could increase the permit fee?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
You could
Okay.
increase that fee as well.
Okay. And then can folks renew their permits online? Has there been any, I know the answer is no, but I guess the question is, has there been any conversations to try to make this an online process as opposed to a manual process?
Because there is a fee required for the permit, we do not have the credit card option available for a residential permit. It's either cash or check.
Okay. All right, so it sounds like something to have a conversation with IT
Yes.
folks. Okay. Are there any other questions? One of the things we want to try to do over the next several months is have some conversations about different aspects of our curbside parking program. We have a valet parking plan. Sounds like the important bike lanes, I know, are very important to many people. Looks like we're going to have some conversation about parking meters, everyone's favorite subject. And but over the next several months, look for some of those. Is there someone, yes, Mr. Knopf, is there someone here in the audience who?
I just noticed we had some visitors. I wanted to keep
Yes.
this forum going if we need to. Anybody?
Anyone here have an interest in talking about permits? Yes, well, step forward, please, and state your name for the record. Thank you for coming.
Sure. My name is Dan Eggersweiler. I'm actually the person who submitted the application application for permanent parking on Archer Street that Colby Sledge submitted.
Okay, please have a seat
Sure.
and speak into the microphone. Thank you.
Yeah, so I live on a street that was totally residential and now has become basically an Airbnb village. And that is the reason that we applied for that permit there, because we have tourists flood our neighborhood every Thursday. They leave on Monday and they park wherever they want. They bring all sorts of vehicles. There are a number of issues that come from that. So I thought it was quite interesting that what you were talking about there, just in terms of a $10 fine, to me doesn't seem like it would deter anyone from parking there. They'll just be like, oh, great, I could have paid $15 to park in a parking garage, or I can pay this $10 citation to park right next to where I am and stay here for 4 days. So for us, they park in front of our house. They take all the residential parking spots. And so that's why we filed for the permit. And I think that having those residential zones is really helpful, especially in areas like mine, where you just have, I mean, probably 75% of the housing there at this point in time is non-owner occupied Airbnbs, which I know is not lawful according to like the standards that have been set. But again, like that's a whole nother topic. So in terms of the permit parking, yeah, I think that that is something that would be really, really helpful to have. Obviously, we found the permit. It was easy enough to fill out. I talked to my councilman to get him to help approve, but definitely upping those fines would be a huge help, because for us, I don't think it would deter anyone.
Sounds like you're looking for enforcement through the weekend hours, which again goes to, I think, the issue of enforcement.
We would need, I mean, on our street, just from our personal example, we would need enforcement all the time. It doesn't, realistically, I'd love to say that it's just the weekends, but I mean, people show up to those units really any time, and they might show up there at 3 p.m. while we're gone at work, and then that car doesn't move until Monday or Tuesday or something. It's parked in that same spot for 4 days, because when they're in town, they typically Lyft or Uber or get on a party bus or whatever it is that they do. And so those cars stay there for long periods of time, and there's virtually no enforcement to come and check on that. And obviously, the police are short-staffed, I know that, so that would be a tough thing. But at least from my perspective, it seems like, I guess you can't generate revenue, but you would very easily, if you wanted to, recoup whatever you were going to spend in hiring additional employees to start enforcing that, which is going to help the residents. And I think that that's one thing that I've seen, is that there aren't a lot of traffic policies in place right now that benefit the residents of Nashville and help. A lot of our policies as a city are focused on bringing in tourism and doing whatever we can to bring the tourists in at whatever cost for the residents. And we don't really consider, hey, how does this affect our traffic? How does this affect our parking? I'm glad to hear you're talking about the valet zones, because that was actually something that I'd hoped to bring up, is that you look at areas like the Gulch and you just get backlogged because you have valets or people waiting for valet spots pulling into these single lanes of traffic that are backing up for half a mile down the road, because one person is like, no, I need this valet spot. And there's no regulation on that. So from my perspective, it seems like you'd be able to generate a whole lot of revenue. I guess whether you're able to or not is something you'd have to address. And personally, as a resident, I'd be all in favor of the government being able to generate revenue if that's a code you can change based on issuing citations, because we have so many simple problems in this city related to traffic that whether it's Lyfts or Ubers who think that they can stop whenever they want in the middle of the street by turning their flashers on and just wait there for 5 minutes while someone gets in or out, or the valet parking or whatever it may be. The party barge is driving at 5 miles an hour down a one-lane road. Whatever it is, like, there are lots of issues that just slow down traffic for all of us that I think would really help, especially in lieu of having a mass transit solution right now, that we could take simple steps to, number one, generate revenue for the city, and number two, help ease the traffic burden on the citizens.
I'd like to
Yes, go ahead and
say
ask a
something.
question.
I think
Commissioner.
there's a phrase going around, make Nashville a city for everyone. I
Yeah.
totally agree with everything you're saying. And I'd like to go on record asking that we find a way to increase this. Whatever this is going to take, $10 is nothing. I mean, that's what you pay to park downtown for like 15 minutes. You know, it seems like in a garage, that's not a deterrent. And if people are taking over places where homeowners live, I mean, they're just going to factor that $10 into that, you know, that's the cost of well, it's not even a cost of a margarita. I mean,
Right.
you know.
Well,
So-
especially if you're getting 4 days of parking out of it.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it's horrible. So, I mean, I think we're seeing that with parking meters, that people would rather park and get a fine than, you know, pay $10 a day to park. So there's got to be a way that the system can go process, whether that's through council or the legislature, someone to increase this totally. I just want to go on the record saying we need to do that. We need to request that.
Okay.
I
Yes.
know the meter, I'm sorry, I know the meter fine amounts are set specifically in the Metro Code. I'm just not 100% sure if that applies to these types of violations. In the Metro Code, where no other amount is explicitly specified, then the default presumption is that the fine amount would be 50, the maximum. So it's possible that it is already that amount. I would need to look more carefully.
Well, I've gotten a ticket for not displaying my permit, and it's $10 from personal experience.
Have you had a chance to speak with your precinct representative where you live? Okay. About the enforcement issues?
Or the precincts?
Yeah, the police precinct.
I live near the Edge Hill precinct. I also run a nonprofit in the Edge Hill area, and so I've had, I don't know that I've spoken with the actual supervisor. I've spoken with a number of officers in the area who have kind of been in the neighborhood and help out with us from time to time.
Is that the Midtown precinct, I think, where you
Yeah.
live? Okay.
Yeah, right off of 12th.
So I'll get with you afterwards and make sure that they get the information about the enforcement
Sure.
in the area that you need it.
Sure.
So
Well,
can
we
send
don't
something.
have it yet, but you just approved it, so we'll have it soon.
Well, we have motor officers that are dedicated to provide this kind of enforcement, so.
This is, if I have one other thing to present that's totally off topic, should I wait?
What's your issue, please?
Just had a general concern with, or a question, I guess, with a lot of the things like party barges or things that are going around the city. Like, is
That's-
there any regulation on
Well,
those?
that's not under the Traffic Commission.
Okay.
Those are through the Transportation Licensing Commission.
Sure.
And Mr. Billy Fields
Okay.
would be the person to contact
Okay.
concerning
Great.
that.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you for coming today, for your citizen input and participation. Very appreciative of that. All right.
Is it okay if we find out maybe the next meeting about what we can do with fines or what we need to do, if anything, on residential permitting, or does that come from the council to us like the parking meters will?
The charter does specifically say that the amount of fines is set by the Metropolitan Council, but I was just looking, and in 1208-170D, it does say, all other parking violations shall be punishable by a fine of not less than $10 for each separate offense. So I think that's probably why your ticket was $10.
But
And
it sounds like it's adjustable, though.
I do not know whether that Section D is included in the Colby Sledge bill that's currently
Okay.
pending. I need to look.
But
Right, maybe we could know that next month.
We'll
then.
know that next month, because if we have a mandatory referral, we'll be discussing that next month, I guess.
Again, I don't think they're doing a mandatory referral on that
Okay.
one.
Okay.
Well, can we find out though for sure? I mean, if it
Yes.
says no less than,
Yes.
does that mean that we
I can
could?
probably look it up right now if I can
I
get
mean,
good-
does that mean we can set something, or do we need to wait for the council to set something
I mean, I think it may already be pending. I just need to see if that
for
subsection-
residential permits?
If it's that D, that includes all other parking violations. So that would include residential, that would include everything that's
Okay.
parking related.
Thank you, thank you.
When we met with Councilmember Sledge last week, his main target on the fines was for the meter time expired only citation, raising that one to 25. He did not mention any of the other fines in our discussion.
That's being voted on tomorrow night, I think. It's going through.
Okay.
It's not on the agenda.
I think it's second reading tomorrow?
Yeah, I think
Is that
it is.
correct?
They haven't
Okay.
asked me.
I understand. All right.
I'm trying to find it right now. If I can find it quickly, I will let
It
everyone
can be
know.
amended, though. If they don't include that, it can be amended to include it.
That's true. Although I think today would be the deadline for amendments. if it's on second today.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
while we're,
Yes,
and
Mr.
we're not
Powell.
waiting on you,
Yes.
legal, we're just going to have a conversation while you're looking. Next month's meeting is on a holiday.
Yes, November the 11th is Veterans Day.
So
Okay.
this board has the authority to set a new date. We don't have room information yet. I don't even know about your work schedules and all that stuff, but kind of start thinking about it. If we
Okay.
can't meet on Monday the 11th at 3 o'clock, when can we? And we can always skip a month. But that is election month for this
Okay.
chair and vice chair.
Well, I guess what we need to do is find out what this room schedule is and then submit some options.
We submitted a request earlier today to see what the availability was on a room, and we've not heard back on that yet.
Okay, because I don't know what, like, for example, the third Monday of the month would be like if something is scheduled.
So just keep an eye on your emails.
Okay. Okay, I think
We'll
so.
let you know.
All right. Well, one of the things while we're waiting for council, legal counsel, is this will be our last meeting with Councilmember Larry Hager.
Well, I enjoyed being on here, but they put me over parks, libraries, and arts. So
Oh.
I'm moving on to a different area.
All right.
But
Well,
I'll stay in touch.
well, we appreciate your service, your insights, and your presence here over the last several years. So, as always, you become a friend.
Thank you very much, Councilman, and thank you for helping with books. Yay.
Thank you.
And we look forward to hopefully seeing you at the commission in the future.
I'm sure you will.
All right. Well, that'd be great.
Thank you.
I did find it in the meantime. It's easy to remember BL 2019-1. I'm looking at it, and I'm not sure the answer to the question is really that clear. It looks like it does seem to focus on the metered parking, as Diane said, but it does. It's hereby amended by deleting the section in its entirety. So that would include deleting D, and then it establishes only 3 sections, A, B, and C. And C says, unless otherwise specified, all other parking violations shall be punishable in according to the provisions of section 101.030. 101.030 I don't have in my book, but I'm looking at what they did to amend it in this bill. So the parking meters will certainly be $25. My guess would be that whether they intended to or not, that this will increase the fee for other types of violations to $50 by bumping it to reference to 101.030, because the default presumption for penalties in 101.030 where not otherwise specified is $50. But I'm not like, I don't have like everything in front of me the way I would if I had my computer here.
Well, if you could, I think we'd like to have that information by the next meeting. That would be helpful, please.
It's probably going to be amended anyway, so.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But be helpful to understand that. Okay. Are there any commissioners have any other items? Thank you for your participation today. Anything else?
Make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It has been approved. See everybody next month.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.